Greetings, salutations, and welcome to SportsLook, the sports television program for the high plains of West Texas and eastern New Mexico. I'm your host, Doc Elder, and even though you're probably satiated with candy on this Halloween evening, we've got two more treats for you. First of all, we're going to have Ron Creighton. He is from Greyhound football. We're going to have Blake Huber. He is the head coach of Greyhound women's basketball. I'll finish up with an overtime, but as always, I'll start out with an Eastern recap. Greyhound women's soccer played well. Unfortunately, they dropped a contest last weekend 2-1. For the Greyhound men's soccer team, they didn't give up a goal. Unfortunately, they didn't score a goal, and so they ended with a 0-0 draw. For Greyhound volleyball, they got their first conference win of the season last weekend. Greyhound cross country had 5 personal bests last weekend at the conference meet. Greyhound football got back to Chili Bowl as they beat Western New Mexico 41-34, and Shacey Marr, for a second straight year, the overall team champ at the Texas Tech Rodeo. Well, that will wrap up an Eastern recap, so we'll clear this out, and I'll bring in Ron Creighton right now. Welcome back to SportsLook, and a privilege to bring to the set of SportsLook one of the outstanding players of the Eastern New Mexico University Greyhound football squad, Ron Creighton. And Ron, welcome to SportsLook.
How you doing? How y'all doing?
Well, Ron, the first question, where are you from and what was the process that got you here to Eastern?
I'm from Oak Grove, Louisiana. It's a small town in Louisiana right outside of, it's about an hour from Monroe. The process that got me here, well, out of high school, I didn't have very many offers. I had Mississippi College. I had a couple of JUCOs in Texas, and I chose to go to Mississippi College. And I had a smooth 3 years there. And my junior year there, which was last year, we ran triple option. The offense we run here, we ran triple option there, and we kind of like got our triple option quarterback got hurt, and they changed the offense and they moved me to a different position. And I got comfortable with the position, but I wasn't happy. I was being a team player. So after the season, I evaluated and I talked to my parents and some coaches, and then I decided to enter the transfer portal. And when I entered the transfer portal, Coach Kelly Lee, he got on the phone. He called me probably like 2 or 3 days after, and he talked to me. He talked to me about down here, because I didn't come on a visit down here. He talked to me how it was down here, and I kind of just like, it sounded like home a little bit, and I ended up coming here.
Yeah, I read an article about you in the local newspaper and said that for a lot of kids coming to Portales is an adjustment, but for you, it just felt like another small town you felt comfortable.
Yes, I'm used to small town. I'm very used to small town.
Let's talk a little bit about your association with the game of football. Can you remember how old were you when you started playing football?
When I started playing football, I was about, I'm going to say 5 or 6. We had a little Pee Wee league up in a town like 15 minutes away from me. My older cousin ran the league, and he said he seen potential in me and he thought I should play, and my dad got me into it, and it kind of went on from there. I just fell in love with it and played ever since.
Well, you're obviously an outstanding running back now. Have you always been a running back?
Yes, sir. In Pee Wee, my first year I was kind of chubby, and I played center and DN, and then after that I started slimming down, and then they moved me to running back, and I got really good at it.
Well, it sounds like football ran in your family. Were they your biggest backers, or were there other people that helped to make you the football player?
Well, I had an uncle. His name's Earl Smith. Y'all go look him up on YouTube. He was really good. He should have went to the league. And then I had his son. His name was Kendrick Jackson. He was really good too. He should have went to the league, but stuff happened, and like I really just like watched like tapes of them all a lot, and they just really like motivated me to be like a good player.
So when you were in high school, what sort of offense did you guys run then?
We ran I formation. It's a variation of this, but you got a fullback and you got a running back, and we just ran counter and power and counter passes, and it was triple option, but it was a different variation of this.
Yeah, when I was a high school football coach, we ran the I, so
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with that offense. Talk a little bit about your high school career as opposed to your 3 years at Mississippi College. What was your biggest adjustment going from high school to college?
Really, my biggest adjustment was the speed of the game. It was like, so my high school coach told me like I'm gonna get like, cause my junior year I got like really good at fullback. Like I didn't expect my. If you ask me, if I'm in P and you ask me where do I think I'm gonna be, like what position I think I'll play, I was probably gonna say like running back. I didn't expect to be like fullback. So like I just like the biggest adjustment was like the speed of the game, and my coach told me that was gonna be the biggest adjustment. I didn't think nothing of it. I was like, oh, it's football. Like I mean, but yeah, it was. I got adjusted pretty fast though.
I have a number of guests who just love the game of football, but after the game is done, they go off and do other things. I have other guests that like they can't get enough football and they watch college, they watch the pros. So, are you kind of a put the game aside, or do you like to watch the college and the pros?
I like to watch not. I mean, I feel like college football is way more exciting than the NFL right now. I'll choose college football. I like to watch it a lot.
And who's your favorite? Outside of Eastern, who's your favorite team?
LSU.
LSU, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, being from Louisiana, I would have probably guessed that.
Yes, sir.
So let's talk a little bit about life at Eastern New Mexico University. You come here, and there are usually a couple of players that kind of go out of their way to make you feel welcome, take you
Yes.
under their wing. And so, who are the guys that help you make the adjustment here?
I would say Mario and JaCalvin. They're two really good guys. I mean, like I came here and it was a point that I was about to like transfer out of here too, and they kind of just like talked me into like staying, and like we had a lot of like extra work in the weight room with Coach Corey Bell, and like I just didn't want to like give all that work up, like do all that for nothing and let them down. So we talked it out, and I decided to stay.
And I think it's pretty interesting. Mario Sanchez from a really small town in Texas, and Calvin from what passes for a big city here
Yes,
in
sir.
New Mexico. He's from Albuquerque. And that's the great thing about football. It doesn't matter where you're from. If you have a love for the game, you can be a good teammate.
Yes, sir. I agree.
So, in terms of you, you came in and you're at least somewhat familiar with the offense, but
Yes, sir.
you had to earn the starting job.
Yes,
And
sir.
so, what do you think it was that impressed Kelly Lee to the point where he gave you that start?
Well, first off, I got a really good fullback behind me right now. Y'all know he's pretty good. I mean, in the spring, I came in here and did what I was supposed to been did. Like I did what he expected, and I would really say it was my work ethic. Like, yeah, it was definitely my work ethic. Like the way I went about things and the way I did it. That's definitely what caught his eye.
Well, I had the privilege of broadcasting your first game against New Mexico Highlands. You
Yes, sir.
had a pretty good debut that day.
Yes, sir.
So, without giving too much away, in case there are people from UTPB or Sul Ross that are watching this, what is the favorite play that the Greyhounds run?
Probably the belly. It's the belly.
Mhm. Yeah, which for people who are uninitiated with football is just basically you go off either the right shoulder or the left shoulder or the center, and
Yes,
that's
sir.
why it's called. They put it in your belly, and then they either take it out or they keep it in there.
Yes, sir.
So, Ron, obviously the season got off to a great start with you guys, a couple of easy victories, and then you hit Lone Star Conference play. And in virtually every game, you've had the lead, and you just haven't been able to hold on to it. So, what does that really tell you about how strong the Lone Star Conference is?
Um, we got some. I mean, we got some really good teams. I mean, you can't like in this conference, like you can't really like make mistakes. Like the margin for making mistakes is really small. So if you make mistakes, then you definitely gonna pay for it. Like no team in this conference you can't sleep on any team in this conference. So yeah, you just gotta like limit the mistakes, and you just gotta play ball.
Well, you guys had been on a losing streak, but last Saturday against Western New Mexico, you guys got a W, and it was a pretty good game for Ron Creighton. 3 touchdowns and over 200 yards rushing, if I'm
Yes,
not
sir.
mistaken.
Shout out to my O line.
Yep, and I tell you what, there are a number of, it bodes well for the future because it's not just five guys that are guys that Kelly subs in, and so got a number of offensive linemen that can throw a block for you.
Yes, sir.
And obviously, I'm not the only person that was impressed by your performance because you are the Lone Star Conference Offensive Player of the Week.
Yes, sir.
So you're a very humble young man, Ron. I would have, taken that and run with it, as the expression goes. So we'll just move on and let's talk about the goals for the rest of the season. I mean, you do have 3 Lone Star Conference games left. If you win all 3 of them, you end up with with a winning record. So I
Yes,
think
sir.
that's probably motivation.
Yes, sir. That is a big motivation. Sir, we just gonna keep grinding, and we hoping to come out with all 3 wins. And like this is my senior season, so I mean this is all I got left, 3 games. So I'm gonna give the guys the best I can give them, and I hope they give me the same.
I'm sure they will, Ron. Let's talk a little bit about you as a student. What are you majoring in?
Physical education.
And what do you hope to do with your degree?
I want to coach high school and teach in high school too.
Mm-hmm. So at what point in your life did you think this is what I want to do with my career? Did you always kind of have a sense you wanted to do that?
Well, I just, sometimes I just like all in different parts of my life, I would just sit and be realistic with myself. At some point in my life, I know I'm like not gonna be able to play football again. So I wanted to still be around it. So I told myself like I'm gonna coach and then I'm gonna teach.
So here at Eastern, what's been your favorite class that you've had here?
My favorite class, right now I'm taking the human A&P class. It's a lab class. It's pretty tough, but it's a very interesting class. Dr. Barlow, I would say that's my favorite class.
It's funny, I have students in here all the time, and I ask them their favorite professor, and I would say Matt Barlow probably would be the leading vote getter. So
he's a funny guy and very interesting.
So if we talk about your future life and we talk about the fact you want to be a coach, what do you hope people will say about you as a teacher and a coach?
I hope they would say that I'm a great man and I'm a great example to their kids, and I help their kids do something that they never thought would happen.
Well, Ron, it's been a pleasure having you. I'm sorry we only get you for 1 year, but you've made it a memorable one. So best of luck this Saturday against Sul Ross.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up the first interview segment. So what we'll do is we'll clear the set and we'll bring in Blake Huber right now. Welcome back to SportsLook, and a privilege to bring back to the set of SportsLook the head man of Greyhound women's basketball, Blake Huber, and Coach. Welcome back to SportsLook.
Appreciate it as always, Doc. It's always a privilege to be able to do this with you guys.
Well, I'll be completely honest with you. I interviewed you last year, and now this is our first interview. Yeah. You look a lot happier this year.
Yeah, it's a little bit less stress. I mean, obviously getting the job in July was tough. We kind of just filled what we could. There was just not a lot of regimen, I guess you could say, with, the staff that I hired to the players that we recruited. It was just kind of like we get here in August and, hey, we kind of know you and you kind of know us, our staff, our players, everyone. So it was just kind of, I don't want to say uncomfortable, but at the same time, I'm a relationship-based coach. We pride on ourselves on, really getting to know our players, taking care of our players. It was hard to do that at times last year, especially early, just because it was such a quick recruiting process. And, and then the returners, Deja and Ship and Julieta, I didn't recruit them. So we're trying to get to know them fast, and then we're trying to get to know, the new players. So it was just, kind of a hodgepodge of a year, so to speak. So, yeah, this year, kind of what we have going on right now, it's a full year of recruiting. These players know how I tick. I know how they tick. They kind of have a better feel for our staff. And I think it's just a lot more consistency, which means they're more likely to play harder for me and our staff because they know me. They know, hey, coach has my back. Where last year, not saying our players didn't think that. It's just it was so rushed that it was hard. I mean, it was a hard season, and I think this year, I'm just really looking forward to what we have going on and what we've accomplished in the preseason. And our first game's next Friday, and our players have worked extremely hard. And now it's time for them to go shine their talents. And we always tell our players that the practices are a lot harder than the games. So the games are the fun part. So I think our players will be ready and excited for our non-conference schedule here.
Blake, talk a little bit about your staff this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, Coach Moore is back for her second year, and she played for me. I think she's taken huge strides this year. Last year, first year out of college, and she didn't quite have her coaching voice of confidence. I would say the kids loved her, but this year she's willing to stop things in practice, and she's coaching more. And I just think there's a lot more mutual respect with our players with Coach Moore. So she's doing a great job. She's doing a lot of individuals with our bigs, and just really taking huge steps in her coaching career. And then we have Coach Eric, who is probably the perfect person to kind of counteract me. I'm very at times stern and half glass empty, like I guess the prototypical perfectionist. And he's just a ball of sunshine and super positive and super hardworking. So Coach Eric is from Albuquerque originally. He played at Northern New Mexico, and then he's been in junior college. He was at Jacksonville in Florida this summer at the Division I level. So does a really good job with individual workouts. Brings a ton of energy, and the players really like him. So I just think our camaraderie of our staff is better. I think we're clicking better with our players this year, and I think with those things, I think you'll see the results on the floor. But I love my staff. They work extremely hard. They make my job easier, which at the end of the day, any head coach will tell you. We probably get way too much credit when we win, and we probably get too much, blame when we lose. And I think my staff tries to do a really good job of making me look good, which I'm super appreciative for.
We'll talk about last year just briefly, and I'll accentuate the way that you guys finished up. I mean, it would have realistically been easy for your girls to just go through the motions the last few weeks of the season, but you were one of the best teams in the conference. You ended up the season with 3 straight wins.
For sure. So I think after that Oklahoma Christian kind of just gut-wrenching loss, you're looking at the schedule and you're like, we have 3 games left, and like you said, at that point, our conference tournament chances were gone. So could have been easy to kind of throw in the towel. And, and when you play Western New Mexico on Thursday and then Saturday, that's a really weird deal as is. So getting them pumped for senior day on Thursday, but then somehow getting them pumped to get on a bus to Silver City the day after and play Saturday. So our players did a really good job of staying the course. And, we beat Arkansas Fort Smith at home, who was battling for that 8th spot in the conference tournament, so they had a lot to play for. And then Western New Mexico is a rival, so to be able to send our seniors off on the right way for senior day and win at home, and then making that 6-hour-long track to Silver City and being able to win on their senior day on Saturday was really big. And I think I think it gave us some momentum going into the off season. And at the end of the day, I try to be very frank with our program, and 11-17 is not what we want. I'll be honest with you, Doc. The first meeting we had, where we laid out our expectations and standards of our group this year, the front of it was 11-17. I think about it every day. I want our players returning to think about it every day. Obviously, the new players weren't really a part of that, but you're part of the change, so to speak. So it's been really well known that yes, we ended strong, but our expectations are greater. First off, we want to make the conference tournament, but I do think this team has an NCAA tournament expectation and feel. Is that going to happen this year? You never know, but our standard hasn't wavered these first 8 weeks. Our players are working extremely hard, and I think they want it. I think they really want to do something special here. And those returners that saw the magical run that Coach Owen and the men's team made last year, I think Jazz and Ishana and Julieta, it's like, wow, like that could be us. Like we need to really put the pedal to the metal because it's a special moment. Cutting down nets, making the NCAA tournament, it's a huge deal. So I think our returners have kind of been the hungry ones of really speaking to the rest of the group, like, hey, this is what we want to do. And I think it's gone really well so far.
Talk a little bit about the returners. They're a very different group. I mean, you
Yeah.
couldn't pick four people and say, they're more different from
For
each other
sure.
than they could be. So talk a little bit about those young
Yeah,
ladies.
absolutely. I think Jazz is, she's the kind of the quote unquote the straw that makes the drink, whatever, stirring the drink, so to speak. So she's really taken huge steps in her game. It's going to be my job. I don't want to play Jazz 38 minutes a game right off the bat this season. So how can I get her a little bit more breaks? Her and Aishana were playing 40 minutes most games last year. So how can I get them more breaks throughout early part of the year. Now, when we get to March, she'll probably be playing 38 minutes, but she's crucial to what we do. She leads the break, her pace. We're going to get up and pressure more this year, and her on-ball defense is crucial. So she's the quote unquote kind of the motor that makes us go. Aishana, obviously the preseason accolades. I think she's a top 10 player in this league when she's healthy. And she can go back to her natural position this year at the 4 because we got 6'5", 6'2", 6'1". We got big kids this year, so it's going to help her a lot. But I think just monitoring her health and knees. But she's kind of the emotional leader of our team. The kid the two kind of other than those two are obviously we're super pumped to get Julieta back. She's in prime time shape. She's strong. She's shooting the three. She's posting. Her game is flourishing. I think the main thing for Julieta was first, it was rocky the first month because she hadn't played in a year and a half, and she's so hard on herself, and it's like, hey, Juli, like trust the process, like you're doing great, and you're finally seeing like she's not beating herself up, and she looks really good, and then Treese Brooks probably has the best percentage efficiency wise in the country for last year. Plays I think 5 minutes against Fort Lewis, has 6 points and 3 rebounds, and tears her hip labrum. And she's back. She's looking good. She's back to full practice scrimmaging. We need her to play 15, 20 minutes a game. I think she's the best on-ball defender in the league. She's super athletic. She gets out and runs. And she's your 50-50 ball, taking charges, kind of junkyard dog type of player, which for a coach it's hard to keep those kids off the floor. So I'm super excited for our players that are back, and at the end of the day, with the way the portal is right now, those 4 could have left, and we wanted them back, and they wanted to be back, which I think is huge for what we're trying to build here.
Obviously, the season starts with you on the road. It's the showcase between the Lone Star Conference, Rocky Mountain. When's the first chance that we'll get to see your ladies at Steve Loy Family Foundation Arena?
For sure. You almost said Greyhound Arena.
Almost.
So yeah, we play. It's volleyball senior day against Midwestern State, I believe, at 2:00. We play at 7, November 16th against Navajo Tech. Which hopefully our kids take care of business and do what they need to do with that. And then following that, we have a huge non-conference game at home, November 19th, Tuesday, against Adams State. I fully expect Coach Mario and their group to be an NCAA tournament team again. They have pretty much most starters back. So that's going to be a fun game. At the end of the day, we had a big win against them last year. Coach Mario is a New Mexico native. There's going to be a sour taste in their mouth. They don't like that they lost last year. They don't like that, he's from New Mexico and they lost. So, they're going to come out guns blazing and punch in. And I mean that in a good way, punching, no brawls or anything. But they're going to be ready to go. It's going to be a physical game. But we play them November 19th. And then, that Saturday we play at WT at home in our first conference game. So, a lot of really good early games for our fans to see our players, and I think as Greyhound Nation, you'll see a way different brand of basketball this year. We've talked about it's going to be kind of more up pace and really spraying the ball up ahead and trying to play as quick as possible and having that same aggressive mentality defensively. And I look forward to seeing hopefully a bunch of fans out for that.
Well, Coach, I was extremely proud of your ladies finishing up last season the way they did. I hope you get off to a fast start, and let's hope this is the year that we return to the LSC playoffs.
For sure. Thank you so much, Doc. And I want to say thank you to everyone here, and go Greyhounds, and come support our players this year. They're really fun to be around. Thank you.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up the interview portion of SportsLook. So what we're going to do is we're going to clear this out, and I'm going to finish up with an overtime right now. See if you've heard this scenario before. Los Angeles Dodgers go into a World Series decimated by injuries, facing overwhelming odds and trailing in the bottom of the last inning against the visiting team. And they got a walk-off homer. And you're thinking, well, obviously that's 1988. That's Kirk Gibson. But yeah, now it's also 2024, because that's exactly what Freddie Freeman did in Game 1 of the World Series. Came up to bat, bottom of the last inning, Dodgers trailing, walk-off home run. If you're a Dodgers fan, you're loving life. Well, that will wrap up an overtime, and that will wrap up an episode of SportsLook. I'd like to thank my guests, Ron Creighton and Blake Huber. Had a floor director, Mr. Donovan, doing a great job for me. So for all those aforementioned people, this is Doc Elder saying, so long.